Welcome back to another video here with Window Cleaning Ventures. I wanted to get into the window cleaning supplies that I use as a professional or used as a professional window cleaner and what my favorite equipment was. So regardless if you're wanting to do this professionally to make a ton of money or if you want to just clean some windows or some glass showers in your house, you guys can get the best equipment and get the best product. So let's jump into this and I'll show you what I use and why I use it. All right, the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is a starter kit. So if you don't have any equipment at all and you're wanting to get a nice set, your extension pole, your bucket, your squeegees, scrubbers, holsters, all of those things, I'm going to put a link in the show notes with all this equipment, but there's a great starter kit. I prefer Unger over all of the brands in a general sense. So you guys can check out the link if you want to just get an awesome starter kit. I put an Unger starter kit in there. So if you want to just order that to get started today, you guys can jump in and get that. That's going to come with your applicator, a couple different squeegees, your scrapers, some extra squeegee blades, holsters, some towels, a belt, all the stuff that you're going to need. So hopefully that helps. That's the first thing I would suggest as far as equipment. The second piece of equipment that I would highly suggest, let's talk about your squeegee. So your squeegee is your main tool that you're going to use more than anything else, of course. And there is a Ettore and an Unger makes a very similar squeegee. I prefer the brass squeegee. It's easier on the glass. If it hits the glass, it's going to have a lot harder time scratching the glass because it is a softer metal. Plus these squeegees, if you click on the link, you can see the exact squeegee. The squeegee handle actually has a nice foam grip. So if you're washing tons and tons of windows, it makes a huge difference. It doesn't hurt your fingers and your hands as much. I remember back when I used to wash every single day, I used to get cramps in my hands. And when I finally got this squeegee, it made a huge difference in that. Also, there's a link for squeegee blades. I way prefer Ettore squeegee blades, the actual rubber that goes in your squeegee, over all other squeegee rubbers. There's a handful. There's Black Diamond, Unger, Sorbo. There's a bunch of different types, right? But Ettore's the best. They sell two different versions. They sell a hard and they sell a soft. So a hard is the actual rubber is harder, like it actually is a little stiffer. That's going to make you way faster, especially in warmer temperatures. They have a soft version that I don't like as much, but it works better in really cold temperatures. So that's the squeegee that I use. The other things about this squeegee is it has a little black tab on the back of the tongue, and that allows you to change out the channels. So you can change between, a very small 6-inch to a larger 22-inch channel, and it's a very quick switch out, right? So that's my preferred squeegee. Go ahead and click on the link. You guys can check it out. If you want to get one, you can get it there. But that is my favorite squeegee. The third piece of equipment that you're going to want to have is your applicator or your scrubber. So there's lots of different ones out there, and you might think, oh, it's just a scrubber. It puts soap and water on the window. It doesn't do anything for you. But when you're cleaning a lot of glass, you want that applicator to hold as much water as possible for as long as possible. So you're not having to go back to your bucket and constantly dipping it for more water. So one thing that I do to increase speed with your scrubber is in your actual holster, I put a little bit of my water solution in there. So when I dip it into my holster, I'm pulling more water out. When I do inside cleaning, I dump all that water out and squeegee my scrubber out a little bit, or squeeze the scrubber out so I don't have so much excess water inside the house dripping and getting on carpet or couches and things like that, right? And if it goes on a windowsill, you can wipe it up. It's not a big deal. So the applicator I prefer is from Unger, and it is a wool and microfiber combination. So it's got a white stripe and a green stripe. The green stripe is actually microfiber material, and the white is a wool material, so it holds more water. So that combination, you get a good scrubbing application and you get a lot of water that's held within that applicator. So it's way easier to scrub and then switch to your squeegee and it's not drying up yet. Where other brands like Ettore and some of Unger's brands as well, they're all microfiber pads. So you get a good scrub, but it doesn't hold as much water. So this was by far the best scrubber that I used. I absolutely loved it. And you can, use it to death and then switch out the actual applicator that goes over the plastic handle as well. So that's my favorite applicator. Go ahead and check it out, use it. I know you guys are gonna like it too. Now I want to talk to you guys about the other piece of equipment that's very handy and needed, which is your belt or your holster on your belt, right? So this is going to hold your applicator, your squeegee, and your razor blade. This was my favorite one I ever used. I've used all the different brands. When I used Ettore, that thing always was smacking me in the knee, and I'm 6'2". So if you're, maybe 6'7", it's not going to hit you in the knee. But if you're as tall as me or shorter, that thing's going to be slapping you in the knee, especially if you jump off a ladder or step down off a rock ledge. It's going to slam you in the knee constantly. So I hated the Ettore brand for that reason. I use the Unger, it's called the Ergo Ninja or Ergo Net. I can't remember. So this is the Ninja holster. So there's a link in the show notes. You can check it out. I really like that one. A little tip for you. So if you put your squeegee into your holster and you're not careful, you can rub that rubber up against that hard plastic and cause little nicks and dings into your squeegee. So as you put that thing in your holster, make sure you put that rubber facing towards you as it goes into your holster, not rubber facing away. And you're actually going to cause less damage to that rubber, and you're going to get a lot more windows out of each rubber. That's going to save you $3 or $4 every single squeegee blade that you're using. The next piece of equipment that I want to talk to you about using is your bucket, your actual bucket. So Ettore makes a nice combination of a bucket with a lid, handle, and then also the little bench that you can take some of the water out of your applicator, like if you're dipping it with an extension pole, like the applicator's on the extension pole, and you dip it in your water, right? You can then put it on that plastic piece, squeeze some of the water out of it back into your bucket. So you're not wasting all of your solution, especially if you're doing route work and cleaning a lot of windows. You want to be able to make that water last most of the day, if not the whole day, before you have to fill up again. So I've used all the other different buckets as well. I felt like this was the most heavy duty. It lasted the longest. I struggled with Unger buckets, actually, cracking, lids not fitting after a certain amount of time, and handles breaking off the Unger brand. So I preferred the Ettore buckets. That's what we always ran with because they lasted us way longer. So go ahead and check out those buckets and that full system. Okay, next thing I want to talk to you guys about is your scrapers. So when you have new construction or you get some tape that a customer put on their windows and hung their kids' decorations, or some kid wiped his nasty hands or above the kitchen sink, a lot of times you'll need to scrape your glass to get it clean. So I'm going to make another video about construction removal and using razor blades and scraping glass and not scratching your glass. So there's two types of scrapers that I used. I used a 1.5 inch scraper, and I used a 6-inch scraper. So I always had the 1.5 inch scraper in my holster, and that's the cool thing about the Unger belt, the Ninja, is there's a little side pocket that you can put that in, and they're little retractable razors, so you can retract that 1.5 inch blade so it doesn't cut you if it comes out, and then you can push it back out, push that blade out, and do your scraping. So I almost always just use the 1.5 inch, if it was one off, a window here, a window there. But if I did an actual new construction job, I would use the full 6-inch scraper. So there's a link for both of those scrapers that I preferred. Also, if you had a lot of cement or a lot of very heavy material that needed to be scraped off, even though it was a lot of it, I wouldn't use a 6-inch scraper because I know that the blade a lot of times would get dents and dings in it, and it would create little grooves that could scratch the glass. Where if you use a smaller 1.5 inch, there's less surface area, so you're taking less off at a time, but that blade is actually a lot stronger, and it's not gonna get little dings and nicks in it that will then scratch the glass. So if you have like on the inside when you're removing paint, overspray, sheetrock, mud, little specks of either cement or stucco or those kinds of things. It's not a ton of, or stickers, the 6-inch blade works really good. But if you're doing like big globs of stucco brick, brick mortar or stucco, that kind of stuff, I would highly suggest actually using the smaller razor blade. So that's what I use to remove construction materials. Next thing I want to talk about is extension poles. When I first started, I bought these ginormous extension poles that could go 20-something feet, and I found that it was really hard to get a really good finish. I was always having major streaks. It was really hard to control that squeegee that far away from you. And then you couldn't really see the errors in the little spots of water. So if the window's really far away, we're either using a water-fed pool and doing the water cleaning system, or we're using extension ladders to get up and get them. But when you're doing route work and windows that aren't very high, maybe 10 feet high, and you don't want to grab your step ladder to grab them, especially commercial stuff that we're doing every month, we use these smaller extension poles. So I really like the Ettore extension poles a little bit more than the Unger. They both work great, but one thing I noticed that it happened to all extension poles. If you accidentally dropped them off a ladder, if you go up a ladder with an extension pole because you're getting on a roof and using it there, or if you're using it just to reach from the ladder, if you drop those or have those fall, the section where you tighten and loosen for the extension section, those will actually break the threads and lock that thing, and you can't even open it anymore. So I found that the Ettore extension poles would last us longer. They could fall off roofs, they could fall off ladders, and they would break a lot less often. Obviously, when it's cold, everything breaks, right? Plastic gets more brittle in the cold, but I found that our Ettore extension poles lasted a little longer than the Unger. Plus, don't get extremely long extension poles. They do not do a good job. So stick with the smaller one. I put a link for my favorite extension pole that went with me on every single job. Let's talk about cleaners and materials to use for your window cleaning solutions and the actual chemicals that we used on the job. So my window cleaning solution was very simple. It's Dawn dish soap and water. So you guys can pick up Dawn at any Walmart. We just buy it in bulk at Costco or Super Walmart. And the other chemicals that we were using was hard water removal. So my favorite hard water removal, I put a link in there, and I'll be doing a video here shortly on how to use this chemical so you can get the best finish possible and the best way to remove hard water. But that cleaner is going to make a huge difference in what you're doing. Next, I want to talk about a water-fed pool and your water-fed pool system. So a water-fed pool is essentially water where all the minerals have been taken out, so you can clean the glass with water, and then as it dries, there's no residue or anything that's left over. So it's a way to clean a window without even using scrubbers or squeegees in the traditional method. So we would use these not on every single job because they are work to put together and hook up to water and that kind of stuff, right? But the times this would come in handy is when we had big commercial buildings and route work that we would do often. So jobs that we were constantly cleaning, or if we had residential quarterly contracts, a lot of the times windows that were kind of sketchy to get to with a ladder, we would take the water-fed pool system for safety reasons more so than the convenience factor. Because if you're on a smaller house, it's really quick just to go through with the extension ladder and hit all the windows really quick than it is to set up the water-fed pool system. So we would use the water-fed pool system, especially when we had large route work. This is more for experienced window cleaners and for people that have bigger jobs and bigger route work. But this is a great system. There's tons of videos out there. I definitely will be creating some videos on using a water-fed pole system. But I put a link of a great water-fed pole system for a starter kit. It's about $1,500, which is not cheap, of course, but they go as high as $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, depending on the kind of system that you want to buy. So this is a great starter. This is a great one if you're wanting to get into that and buy a new water-fed pole system. The next and final piece of equipment I want to talk to you about is a towel. What you want to use to be able to clean up the edges of your glass after you get done squeegeeing them, and also cleaning up all surfaces inside the house that you drip onto, cleaning out the tracks, those kinds of things. So microfiber is great because it doesn't leave behind any of those little cotton balls or the little strings of material. So when I first started, I was always just buying, cheap towels from Walmart. I was going to like the thrift stores and buying towels and old shirts and just using whatever piece of cloth I could find. But I got a way better finish, especially once I started hiring employees that took less care. I found that a microfiber towel would do a lot better job at finishing up those corners without leaving streaks, and doing a really good job cleaning all of that water up. So I just wanted one quick tip too, talking about cleaning up your edges. If you squeegee your piece of glass and you have more than 1/4 inch of water around each edge, you need to re-clean the window. Because if you're trying to wipe up more than 1/4 inch of water on the edge of your glass, you've got too much water and you've got too much space, and so you're going to have a big old streak on the sides of your glass as you're wiping them up. So that's the kind of towel I would suggest with cleaning up your edges. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you guys have any more questions on equipment, go ahead and leave them in the show notes. Like I said, all of this equipment that I've talked about, I've got links in the show notes. You guys can go check those out and order them if you need any of these supplies. Also, I wanted to do a quick shout out. So off of my last video, Eamon, the window cleaner Ruiz, sent a message to me. He said, just wanted to share an experience with y'all. He got his first window cleaning job. He made $300 on that first job. Super stoked to start his business. And he's working to grow it now. So this was just a couple months ago that he was able to do that. So congratulations to you. That's super awesome. Keep me posted if any of these videos, any of these things is helping you. Let us know. Type in the comment section, send us a picture of a beautifully cleaned window, especially if it's the first time you've ever cleaned windows. Let us know that you've been able to master some of the window cleaning techniques that I share on this channel. Thanks again for being with me. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Share this with someone that might benefit from this content. Thank you.